Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad that you know join us this fine Monday morning. It's a new month. I know this is the first time I've been back this month. Really do apologize for the past 2 weeks. Not being available. There are just some technical difficulties as well as some things we needed to sort out in the back end. And we figured we might as well just end up starting out properly today. So glad to see a lot of familiar names and a lot of you back. But I do know even if you guys are late, you can end up at least still watching it on YouTube. So, hi everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Mitch Kaniaro, and I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session in partnership with we want to welcome you to another daily analysis session. Now, during these webinars, we analyze the markets, we identify what trading opportunities we as the Afriforex team will be looking at for the day, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, we do have John in the back office, so he'll be here to assist with whatever questions or queries you might have. So feel free to ask your questions there, either in the Q&A section or in the chat box. But remember, the Q&A section is much, much better, as I will be addressing all those questions at the end of the webinar. So we can jump straight into it. So now, since it's a brand new week, there will not necessarily be much of a review of the pairs for last week. So I guess we'll start off afresh. So as usual, we'll start off with our watch list. So here's our watch list for today. So today, we're going to be looking for selling opportunities on the New Zealand dollar, the Australian dollar, as well as the Canadian dollar. And we're going to mix and match these three pairs that are on the sell side with all the other pairs which are on the buy side. So that's the yen, the US dollar, the Swiss franc, the British pound, as well as the euro. So we'll jump straight into it, at least look at the pairs before we do end up focusing on gold as well as the indices. But remember, guys, if you do mind take any setups based on things that we do share, you can feel free to send them in to us. Or if you have any questions or queries, even about a trade that you've taken, just let us know. We are here to help. We have resource available for you guys. So we'll jump straight into it. We'll start off with the New Zealand dollar pairs, mix and match that with the pairs on the buy side. Do the same thing with the Australian dollar, then the Canadian dollar, before we do have a look at the indices. So starting off with the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, we can see on Friday, the prices really did come down quite aggressive. You can see a lot of New Zealand dollar weakness as well as yen strength in this situation. However, this was mainly because of the non-farm payroll. You remember on Friday, there was the NFP. They didn't end up informing you guys on the Telegram channel to make sure you watch out for that. And you can clearly see as the price came down quite aggressive. And this was from 4:30. Remember the market opening times we always mentioned, 10, 3, and 4:30. You can clearly see the way the price came down. We just broke a major support and resistance area. And we did seem to be getting a pullback. Right now, even though you can clearly see the price does seem to be attempting to come down, would not advise you guys to chase the market. So we'll be focusing on these three areas to look for the sells. The aggressive sellers are all the way at the top. So you can clearly see that's exactly what the prices did start coming down from on Friday. We did approach a buyer's area where you can see the price has struggled to actually go lower. We have started getting a pullback. Now, even though you can clearly see the price has come back and it's attempting to come down, this is not a good place to look for any selling opportunity yet. Don't think that right now it's starting to go, you enter your sell there and you put your stop loss there. Most of the time, that's what many people do, not necessarily realizing that this market has actually just reached, or at least you can see there was a support and resistance area right here. We broke into the upside. This could just be a pullback to this support and resistance before we actually get the price coming up towards this area. So we'll be waiting to see if we can end up grabbing this selling opportunity. But the main thing we'll be looking out for is if we do get the price coming back in, let's say we get a sort of probe price action signal within that area, then we should be able to look for selling opportunities. But if these sellers still decide to continue coming down low, then the best thing for us to do is to wait for this level to be broken to the downside. Once the price is broken that area, we want to see a pullback coming in. We want to see that pullback coming in much slower in comparison to how the sellers did end up coming in before we're able to actually look for a selling opportunity. So we watch out for the timings, market opening timings, 10, 3, and 4:30. But overall, we'll still be waiting for a selling opportunity on this. Let's wait to see what ends up happening. Either the pullback comes in, or if the sellers are going to actually continue coming down lower. So this one is pretty clear cut in terms of the market structure. You do seem that we are seeming to be trending to the downside where the sellers came down. We're getting a pullback. We should be able to continue going down lower on the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, moving on to the next New Zealand dollar pair, we do have the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. You can clearly see the same correlation coming in with the New Zealand dollar pairs, where the market did end up really reacting on Friday due to the non-farm payroll. You can clearly see we do not have any stop loss. Well, the reason why we tell you guys to avoid trading at that time, you can see how the market came down, came all the way up, came down, still going up. Like those situations end up stopping a lot of traders. So would always encourage either wait for the breach to the downside, and you can see once the price came down lower, you can see there was some small pullback before the price came down. Now today we're going to still be looking for selling opportunities on this. The price does seem as if it's attempting to break this area to the downside. Now you can see where I put the yellow SNR. You not necessarily put it all the way down here, even though there is a level right there. But the fact that the price came down, came back up, and was holding above this area, we knew that that level hadn't been broken yet. And you can even go back to the past, you can clearly see this is a major support and resistance area. Now, if the price, since it does seem as if it's attempting to break this area to the downside, if we do end up getting a pullback coming in, and we see the price actually holding below this area, there could be a potential selling opportunity. You do need to watch out for this buyer's area here, where the price is at right now. But if the price comes back in and holds inside above this area, then chances are we could even be getting the prices coming all the way up towards this support and resistance area before we are able to see that selling opportunity coming in. So we can see some correlation coming in with these New Zealand dollar pairs. We'll have a look at the other pairs as well, but we want to see, at least get that confirmation. If the price holds below, we should be good to go for a sell, but watch out for these SNR levels. If it doesn't hold below, chances are we could even be coming all the way up towards this particular area. So hope that's clear on the game plan of the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So we'll move on to the next New Zealand dollar pair. We do have the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. You can see that same correlation, a lot of New Zealand dollar weakness that did come in. You can see the main sellers who pushed the price down lower was around non-farm payroll, around 430 or so. That's when the price really started coming down lower. We're broken a major support and resistance area, because you can see the price did seem to be in some sort of range, bouncing between these levels. Now, the fact that the price has come up, we want to actually see whether or not we can get the price coming in a bit higher towards this level. Right now, we will not chase the market. That's one thing we always say, buy with buyers and sell with sellers. And if you're going to start jumping in on a sell here, yet you're at a support and resistance area, an area where buyers can come in, you could easily end up getting stopped out. So we encourage you to watch out for that level. Potentially, if you do get the price breaking this area to the downside, and we see that happening on all the New Zealand dollar pairs, then chances are we could we could actually continue looking for those selling opportunities. However, since we're back within a support and resistance area, we'll not be surprised if the price actually still gives us a pullback coming back towards this area before we're able to look for those selling opportunities on the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. So we'll be waiting to see what ends up happening. The New Zealand dollar is showing a lot of weakness, the Swiss franc showing strength. So if we do get the price breaking and holding below, then we know that the big boy sellers are back. These buyers will not have done anything, because if the price is able to go below that area, it shows that the buyers are not interested, and still the sellers stand for us to continue with those sells. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening, but you can see the fact that they all look similar. At least we should be able to use some correlation on these New Zealand dollar pairs. So moving on to the next New Zealand dollar pair we do have the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. Now in this kind of pair, our bias here is to look for buys. And for those who are new, we can clearly see that in this situation, we're still going to be looking for selling opportunities on the New Zealand dollar. It's just that it is the counter currency. So since it's the counter currency, as we're buying the British pound, we are in turn also selling the New Zealand dollar. So overall today, our bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunities. You can see the market probe this area. You can see the price came down, come back to the support resistance area. The price does seem to come up, or at least it's attempting to come to the upside. So in this situation, we'll wait to see whether or not it's the same thing that's happening with the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So if this is our actual breach, we do get the price coming back in and holding above this area, then we should be okay to continue buying opportunities. And remember the market opening times, 10, 3, and 4:30, we could find some nice trading opportunities there. However, be aware we need to make sure that this price is actually going to hold above this area. Because if the price starts coming down, but it comes in, and you see it actually holding to the downside, chances are we could still be coming down a bit lower before you do see the price going to the upside. So we're waiting to see what ends up happening. This one looks very interesting. You can see it probed before, You can see on the pullback, the price confirmed that it actually held within that area. So we want to see something similar, but to the opposite side. So we're waiting to see what ends up happening on the British pound against the New Zealand dollar, but clearly some British pound strength as well as some New Zealand dollar weakness coming. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next and last New Zealand dollar pair we do have. This is the euro against the New Zealand dollar. In this situation, and you can see the correlation coming in with all of them. All of them seem to have gone up higher. There was a range where the prices really reached to the upside, and you can see the timings around 4:30, the New York Stock Exchange open after the non-farm payroll. So overall, you can clearly see all that correlation coming in with the New Zealand dollar weakness showing all the pairs. So overall, we've been still looking for those buying opportunities, but right now we're within this seller's area. You can clearly see the price has been here before. It's actually even touched this exact same price before. And you can see the last time it did that, even though the buyers were very strong, the price still managed to come all the way down lower. So right now, we do need to be careful about this one. We'll be waiting to see if the price holds above within this particular location, then there could be a potential buy. We need to watch out for this particular seller's area, just in case they do end up coming again. But if you want to be slightly more conservative, if the price is able to break this area and hold to the upside, maybe you could end up getting a pullback towards this location to continue your buying opportunities. But for us, right now, the best area we'd be looking for is a buy within there. And if it ends up actually probing, chances are we could even end up coming down lower. So if you see the price actually holding below, chances are we could be coming back a bit within this particular area, coming back towards the support and resistance area before we're able to continue with those buying opportunities on the euro against the New Zealand dollar. So I hope that's clear on all the New Zealand dollar pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched the New Zealand dollar with all these pairs on the buy side. And we can see that correlation coming in with all the New Zealand dollar pairs. So it's a point for us to actually look at what point can we actually jump back in to continue with that New Zealand dollar weakness. So hope that's clear on the New Zealand dollar pairs. If we move on to the next currency pair, which we'll be looking at, which is the Australian dollar pairs, we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the New Zealand dollar. So we'll start off here with the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. You can see that same correlation coming in with the Australian dollar as well as the New Zealand dollar pairs, showing a lot of weakness. And if you do note the time, that was around 4:30 p.m. on Friday after the non-farm payroll. You can clearly see the prices really did come down quite aggressive. So overall here, our bias is definitely going to continue looking for selling opportunities. In this situation, this one actually looks a bit better than the New Zealand dollar. The New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen, because you can see, remember the way the prices were coming down, and maybe it has something to do with New Zealand dollar weakness, because you can see the way the buyers have come up within this particular area. You can see they've pushed to the upside, but look at the way the sellers are coming down. It's much slower. These sellers that are coming down right here do not look like the way these sellers came back. So chances are it might not be those sellers actually coming back in. And what you might find is the buyers, since we're coming back to the support and resistance area, could attempt again. And once we do see that, but we see aggressive sellers coming in, something that shows that these sellers are actually back, then we could end up waiting for some sort of pullback to be able to look for a selling opportunity there. But if you do take note of, can end up quickly looking at the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen, you can see this one has come in a bit lower in comparison, but the story is pretty much the same with the Australian dollar against the yen. Either we could end up getting a pullback coming in, giving us some sort of probe or price action signal for us to look for those selling opportunities, or if the sellers actually continue coming down quite aggressive, we need these buyers right here to be reached. If we can get the price reaching that level and the price falls below, then we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So hope that's clear on the game plan there. As we move on to the next Australian dollar pair, which is the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Now, in this situation, our buyers, you can see it's pretty clear-cut, looking for selling opportunities. You can see the same correlation. It looks like we're repeating, we're looking at the same chart over and over. But as you're going through the pairs, you can be able to start noticing certain things. Remember, we looked at the Australian dollar against the yen, as well as the New Zealand dollar against the yen, how far the price had come down. But if you notice on this one, the price has already come back and we're within a buyer's area. So it could have something to do with the US dollar potentially showing strength. So that's the reason why when we look at the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar, you can see it looks as if it's broken this area to the downside. Want to see that pullback coming in for us to look for sales. So it could be something similar, but in this situation, we're still within the buyer's area, so no selling opportunities for us just yet, because you never know. These buyers could still end up giving us that pullback towards this area before we're able to look for sales. But if you're using correlation, and if you have a defined that, let's say, for example, the price actually break this area to the downside, and you see a pullback coming in, have a look at the other pairs. We've looked at the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Right now, the Australian dollar against the US dollar. We'll have a look at the US dollar against the Canadian dollar to try and figure out, are the big boys actually jumping in on the US dollar? Are they jumping in on the yen? Are they jumping in on the Australian dollar? Just trying to figure out where are they putting their money. And that also gives us an opportunity for us to also make money as well. So we're waiting to see what ends up happening in this one, but it's pretty clear cut. Let's wait to see whether or not the buyers can come in. And if you also compare how these buyers came in, it only took 2 candles to go to the upside. Look at how many candles it has taken to come down. So don't just be incited seeing that there are red candles here. And since you saw this big red candle, should be continuing to go down. Yes, we should be, but chances are we might need a bit of a better price to be able to jump in and those selling opportunities. So hope that's clear on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So moving on, you can see the same correlation. Here we have the Australian dollar against Swiss franc. Similar situation or similar story on Friday at 4:30. The prices really did come down during the New York Stock Exchange open. As you can see, we've reached this area to the downside. We made a low right here. And right now, we did end up breaking this support and resistance area. So overall, this one looks pretty nice, pretty clear cut. We do seem to be in some sort of trending market. You can see the price has broken this area to the downside. What we want is a pullback to come in for us to look for those selling opportunities. Now, right now, the fact that the buyers do seem to be coming in, we want to see at what point in time will these buyers actually die out. So I wouldn't say that they're done just yet, especially if you compare how the buyers came up and the sellers. So chances are on this pair, we'll be waiting to see potentially getting some sort of close the price action signal within this particular area for us to look for those selling opportunities. But remember, watch out for correlation, because if you do find the price is actually continuing to come down lower, these buyers don't necessarily do anything, and the price actually holds below, we should be able to continue with those selling opportunities. So the fact that most of the pairs look the same, that doesn't mean you enter on all of them. Ideally, it does give you a clue on figuring out which one could be the best. So even though you have the overall bias of the direction to the downside, you can really end up having a look at multiple pairs to figure out when your pair, or at least your trade, is actually ready to go. So moving on to the next Australian dollar pair, we do have the British pound against the Australian dollar. Similar situation with the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. The British pound here is the base currency, and the Australian dollar is the counter currency. So as we're looking for selling opportunities on the Australian dollar, technically we will be looking for buying opportunities on this pair. So overall, here we're going to be looking for those buying opportunities. Even right now, we can see the same thing that's happening. Right now, it does look pretty similar with these other pairs. I said the prices came down. Look at that pullback. That pullback doesn't necessarily look very strong in terms of the way the buyers are coming in. So chances are we could even be getting the price coming down a bit lower within that particular area before we're able to see those buying opportunities. So potential counter, but for us, we don't necessarily look at counter trends. We know that they have a high probability of actually not working out. So the main point is, as long as we know what we should do and it has a high probability of working out, as long as we continuously do that, money will be made. So we wait to see what ends up happening on this one. The reason why we won't sell, because you can see we don't sell in the face of very strong buyers. Because what could easily end up happening is the price could end up still going to the upside. And if you do see the pullback coming in and the price holds above, we should be able to continue with those buying opportunities on the British pound against the Australian dollar. So pretty clear cut. The game plan there. As we move on to the next and last Australian dollar pair we do have. So here we have the euro against the Australian dollar. Similar situation with the British pound and the Australian dollar, where the euro here is the base currency. So we'll be looking for buying opportunities on this. We started getting a pullback and the sellers have come down very aggressive. But remember, we're back within this small support and resistance area that we beat. So chances are we could even end up getting the prices coming down a bit lower before we're able to see the price going to the upside. At least we'll be looking to get a better price than this particular area right here. So game plan is pretty simple. The way the prices really did come to the upside, breaching a certain SNR level. So let's wait to see if we can end up getting that pullback coming in. If the buyers do end up continuing to go up and the sellers don't do anything, that's when we should be able to continue with those buying opportunities. So Hope that's clear on all the Australian dollar pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched the New Zealand dollar as well as the Australian dollar with all the pairs on the buy side. So right now we're going to move on to the Canadian dollar pairs and do the exact same thing. So we'll start off with the Canadian dollar against the yen. You can see that same correlation coming in with all of these pairs. Seems also the yen was also quite strong the way the prices came down. But overall, the non-farm payroll really did play around with this. And you can clearly see the way the markets really did spike up to the upside and to the downside. You can see this one 15-minute candle was over 135 pips or so, just going to the downside and to the upside. It must have been confusing to many people. That's why we always tell you just possibly wait for the news event to come out, then enter your trade after that. Because you can see if you entered at 4:30, the price is now back within the seller's area to actually be able to come down. But right now, you can clearly see there's a pullback coming in. We do have some very interesting levels, and right now the price is at support and resistance area right there. So we'll definitely be looking for selling opportunities, but we need to see signs that the big boy sellers are back. Just because the price has come back and we're within a support and resistance area, that does not mean automatically sell. It means we need to wait to see whether or not these big boy sellers who came in, will they actually come in again? So wait to see for that. And one key area that ideally we always show you guys is a probe, because at that point in time, buyers are trying to go to the upside, but if you see aggressive sellers coming in, that confirms that this level is still holding and the big boy sellers are still interested. In that situation, we can get the pullback coming into the support and resistance area, we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities. But we wait to see what ends up happening, and you can be able to use the correlation on the other pair. Remember, we looked at the Australian dollar against the yen, and we looked at the New Zealand dollar against the yen. So if all of them look like we could pull back, then chances are the Canadian dollar against the yen might even need to go up a bit higher. It even potentially even come up all the way to the main sellers area before we're able to look for those selling opportunities on the Canadian dollar against Japanese yen. So we wait to see what ends up happening here. So moving on to the next Canadian dollar pair we have the US dollar against Canadian dollar. And in this situation, the Canadian dollar is the counter currency. So that means since we're looking for selling opportunities in the Canadian dollar, we will be looking for buys here. You can see that US dollar strength that really did come in as well during the non-farm payroll. You can see this was around 3 and 4:30 before the market actually took off to the upside. So overall, the fact that the price has come up and we're still within that area where the sellers do seem to be holding, the buyers, if you look at even how the buyers came up within this first time, can be able to see the strength. Very strong buyers compared with the second time, quite strong. That time, they did end up going further, but look at how many candles it took just to get towards that area. And right now, how is the buyer coming up? You can clearly see very, very, very weak. So in this situation, no trading opportunity just yet, because we're looking for buys and we're within a seller's area. So we need to see one or two things. Either we do end up getting this pullback coming in, potentially within this support and resistance area for us to see a buying opportunity. So let me just highlight it quickly. So we're waiting to see something similar to that. But remember, use correlation, because we did end up having a look at the other pairs, and the US dollar pairs did seem to be showing some strength. So if you do see the price breaking this area to the upside, it could be a pullback. I wouldn't personally jump in on this one, because I'm a big fan of at least waiting for more of a pullback, because at least that gives me an idea of where I can actually take profit. So in this situation, I would be hoping at least the price actually ends up pulling back down lower. But even if it doesn't enrich the upside, you end up being able to use correlation to figure out where exactly you can end up continuing with those buying opportunities on the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. So hope that's clear. As we move on to the next currency pair we do have, this is the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So in this pair, buyers here also look for selling opportunities. Take note, I was around 4:30. The price was within that main seller's area. We did end up really coming down quite aggressive, coming down all the way to some buyers area here. And you can see the buyers, at least the price did end up holding. Right now, the fact that the price has given us a pullback, and this pullback looks quite nice because the buyers do not look very strong, which is a good sign for us. And we're back within this seller's area. But remember, we want to see signs that the big boy sellers are actually back. So what we wait to see, we end up seeing some sort of probe coming in. That should be a good sign for us to be able to look for a sell. Remember, watch out for the market opening times 10, 3, and 4:30. But if this level doesn't hold, chances are we could be coming back all the way to the main seller's area right there at the top before we're able to look for those selling opportunities. So we'll be interested to see what ends up happening here. But since no, within a nice area, but since no buyers are here yet, that's something we need to watch out for. Or you could potentially watch out for. You can see there seems to be some small, sort of small gain. There's a possibility, especially if the sellers really do come down aggressive. Then if the pullback comes in and it holds below, then there could be a selling opportunity. But in that situation, you need to watch out for, yes, there's that level. You can see we also have a small support resistance here that will reach to the upside. Remember, we had a look at all the other pairs. So the New Zealand dollar against Swiss franc, you can see they all attempted to pull back towards some sort of support resistance here that was reached. So that still could also be a level that could end up potentially giving you issues, right? In the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So do make sure you manage your trades within those particular things, or at least set an alert. So if something ends up happening and the price approaches there, you can be able to see what kind of reaction would happen or how the prices ended up approaching that location. They come in aggressive, there's a high chance or a high likelihood that could end up continuing to go down. If it comes down very slowly, that's definitely an area you should manage. Either close some of your position or at least make it a risk-free trade by moving your stop loss to break even. So hope that's clear. The Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. As we move on to the next pair that we do have, this is the British pound against the Canadian dollar. Quite a lot of strength that did come in on the British pound pairs, but you can see how choppy it is going to the upside. So overall, here we're going to still be looking for buying opportunity. We'll be focusing on these three areas right here. And one thing to also take note of, I think when we're looking at this earlier in the morning, we look as if it's potentially in some sort of channel. Don't necessarily trade trend lines per se, but you can notice that since we do seem to be channeling at least some sort of potential channel, there is potential for this price to at least come back within that particular area. Or if you notice that the fact that the market is in a channel, you know that it's most likely going to give you a bit more of a deeper pullback, not necessarily respect support and resistance. So right now, as the price is coming down low, let's wait to see. Since we're approaching a small buyer's area, we get the buyers actually coming in, we see the price actually holding above, then we should be able to look for buys. But if nothing ends up happening yet, we wait to see whether or not we could end up getting our buying opportunities within our main buyer's area right here. Remember, this red support and resistance areas are the line in the sand for us. So if the price breaks and holds below this particular red support and resistance area, then ideally this pair will fall off our watch list. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next and last currency pair we do have. This is the euro against the Canadian dollar. This pair, our bias is to look for buying opportunities. And you can see the correlation that has come in with all these pairs. The non-farm payrolls on Friday really did a lot. And you can see how confusing it could be. And that's the reason why sometimes we also tell people to not chase the market when the non-farm payroll comes up. You can see from 3 o'clock, the price looked as if it was going down. So all those people, when it was down here, were selling. Then next thing, the price came up. What were all those people doing when the price is up here? They were buying, just to end up getting stopped out. All those people who thought it was a buy end up getting stopped out, now start thinking it's a sell when the price is already down, not realizing that you're within a buyer's area. So that's why we always say, if you're thinking of a buy, think of sellers. Think of a sell, think of buyers. We need the opposite party to come in before we're able to look for those trading opportunities. So right now, the price is coming back in. We do seem to be approaching some sort of support and resistance area. We do get some sort of price action signal or signs that the sellers here are no longer coming down and the big boy buyers are coming back in, then we should be able to look for buying opportunity on this. Ideally, if you do want more information on how to look for those entries, I think that's the reason why we do have the Afriforex AMP course, and today will be the first lesson for the September session. So remember, we only have 2 more sessions, October and November. So if you are interested, make sure you do sign up for that. There should be a link for that in the chat box. Remember, it's a session that we will be walking with you guys every single day. So every day we'll be sitting down after this session, looking for each and every opportunity, at least doing the lessons first. We look for opportunities together. Ideally, you should end up being able to make your money back by the time the session is actually over, in terms of the month is over. So feel free to sign up for that. There should be a link for that right there in the chat box. So let's jump into the indices. So in this situation, we're looking for selling opportunities on the NASDAQ as well as the US 30. Can see silver there as well, but for gold, we will be looking for buys. So we'll start off here with the NASDAQ. So the NAS 100, overall here, our bias is to look for selling opportunities. You can see that US dollar strength that did actually come in. So overall, we will definitely still be looking for these selling opportunities on this. Right now, the way the price ended up coming down quite aggressive, you can see the way the buyers are coming in. These are very nice signs. The buyers are not really showing much interest, which is a good thing. So hopefully we can end up getting the price still coming up a bit higher. Remember, this being the NAS 100, it's mainly active during the US session. You can see during the Asian and London session, we have some small movements. But once the US session comes in, that's when we'll end up expecting some huge movements in this trend. So overall, we'll be looking for sales. Remember, this situation with the NASDAQ, as well as the indices, as well as the currency, the metals, we are purely technical on these. So if the price breaks and falls above the red SNR, ideally you can be able to start looking for buying opportunities. But as long as price is holding below this red support and resistance area, we will be looking for selling opportunities here. So moving on to the US 30, you can see that same correlation coming in during the non-farm payroll 430. The price really did come down quite aggressive, approach that area where there are buyers, the main sellers who pushed all right here. This was just a probe where the price came in, but there was a level that was holding within this location. We do have a support and resistance area that was breached to the downside. You can see the price came in, it came to the upside there. Attempted to come down, price came up until the fact that we're broken this area to the downside. Let's see if we can end up getting this price giving us this pullback towards this area. We see some sort of probe price action signal within here, or signs that the big boy sellers are back in, should be able to look for selling opportunities on this pair. So pretty clear cut. We seem to be trending to the downside, and, just waiting for prices at the support resistance area. So now for silver. Silver here, we're going to be looking for selling opportunities. So we have these three areas we'll be watching out for. The prices really did come down quite aggressive on Friday during the non-farm payroll. We did manage to break some sort of buyer's area here. We will be looking for selling opportunities on this. So right now, as the prices come down, you can see we're within a buyer's area. No place for us to look for those selling opportunities just yet. We need one of two things. Remember, we need either this price to actually break this area to the downside, get the price holding below, we should be able to look for sales. But if this price does seem to be coming up, or at least can't break this area lower, it means that this price that it attempted to come down low was not good enough. That means we definitely might need a better price than this, so you could end up seeing the price actually able to come to the support resistance area before we're able to look for those selling opportunities on silver. So the markets are pretty similar today. You can see the breaches that happened, a lot of that because of the non-farm payroll. Right now, we're either waiting for these pullbacks to these areas of interest for us to continue with those potential selling opportunities. Now, here we have gold. Last but not least, so on gold, our bias overall, we need to be looking for a buying opportunity. We're very curious about this particular area, especially, let me just put the levels nicely right now. Overall, we'll be looking for these buying opportunities, but the area we definitely need to watch out for is where we are right now. Because it does seem that on Friday, price came down, came back, and it looks like as if it was holding above that area. Right now, it's attempting to look as if it's breaking to the downside. If the price falls below, it could be a potential sell, but we've seen this many times. And if we do end up going up to a higher time frame, the 1 hour time frame, one thing you'll realize is that we're in a major range, bouncing between these major levels right here. And you can see how many times the price has actually been able to spike down low, see come back to a certain support resistance area. And still, even after such move to the downside, it's still been able to go to the upside. So even right now, we'll still be looking for buying opportunities. I really can only tell you guys what we can end up actually doing or what we'll be looking at doing. Waiting to see if the price comes in, because if this seller right here was not able to actually come down and make any new lows, it possibly means the same story with silver, we need a better price. So overall, we'll still be looking for those buying opportunities. Chances are we could end up getting the price coming up. We'll wait to see how the price ends up approaching this particular location, but we will definitely be managing our trades within that area. But since overall we're in a ranging market, there's a high possibility we could still be coming all the way to the top. But in this situation, we need to make sure we manage our trade just in case. Because remember, the news that came out for the dollar was showing strength. It doesn't mean that overall, just because the dollar is strength, gold goes down. It has some similar correlation, but it is not perfect. So there are times when gold is up and also the dollar is up. It's just yesterday, sorry, on Friday, after the strength that came in with the US dollar, there was a bit of weakness coming in. But remember, in a fear-based market, because many people are still fearful about what's going to happen in everything, people are going to look to buy gold. Like the big boys, that's the one big safe haven. So even though there's a bit of strength to the dollar, this bias, at least for us with gold right now, is still going to be on the buy. But if you do get the price potentially like holding within this area, could see a sell. But remember the story overall where we feel major range. So right now, being at the bottom of the range, we'll still be looking for those buy opportunities. So that's it for all the time spares, including gold and silver. So I can be able to address some questions if there are any. So I'm seeing Albert Miner, glad you are back. Let's get to money printing. Definitely, Albert. Glad to see you here as well. Glad that you also joined us. So I'm also seeing Dennis Wamboy saying, morning, can I do NAS 100? No problem. The NASDAQ, NAS 100 overall, we're going to be looking for selling opportunities. Can see the way the prices really did come down quite aggressive. And right now, it's a pullback that does seem to be coming in. Most people do know market structure, or at least if it's an uptrend, it's higher highs and higher lows. Or if it's a downtrend, it's lower lows and lower highs. So that's what we're waiting for. Right now, we're just within this area. We want to see how far the market can pull back to the support and resistance area, which is within this location before we're able to see the selling opportunities coming. So that's the game plan we'll be waiting for. But remember, we want to see signs that big boy sellers are going to come back in, because there's a possibility they might not. If they don't, then price could still even come all the way to the main sellers. But overall, we'll still be looking for selling opportunities as long as the price is holding below these sellers here that push the price down. So I hope that is clear for you, Dennis. So not seeing any more questions, which is okay. We know today there were not necessarily a number of pairs, but since there were no reviews and no screenshots, we have been able to go through the session much quicker. But overall, this is going to be the watch list in terms of fundamentals today. Not much. There was a lot of yen news earlier in the morning, still showing in that strength. But you can see later on, we have some US dollar news, but not necessarily something that's going to be a big effect. Maybe this Atlanta Fed GDP, which is going to happen at 1930, around 7:30 or so. But apart from that, there is not really much. So this week, at least tomorrow, we'll end up expecting a bit more volatility on the markets. Mondays are sometimes slow, but that doesn't mean we cannot find opportunities today. So I guess that's it from me and from us. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Apologies for being missing the past few weeks, but we are definitely back. And we'll be back with the AMP. Remember, the AMP program, we only have 2 more sessions available, or 2 more slots available for this for this year. So that's for next month, October and November. So do make sure that you do join us for that. So you can be able to go to Afriforex.com. And if you do scroll down, you can end up, we do have a free course. So those of you who want to end up getting some nice free education, getting a proper basic or foundation of trading, we do have it here. We have the masterclass course. Remember, there is still a discount going on the masterclass, so feel free to sign up for that. And we have the AMP. So this is the main key thing that we're looking at. Remember, if you do want to join this, feel free to sign up. There should be a link in the chat box. But remember, we need you guys to have done the masterclass first to make sure that we really move quickly. Because remember, the main objective here, it's not really to focus too much on the education. It's to clear out everything that was done in the masterclass. Then we do practical. It's a lot of practicals. We'll be here looking and analyzing the markets every day. And that definitely gives us multiple opportunities. We'll definitely get the previous classes to end up giving us a few testimonials to see how it is that they're actually doing. So I want to thank you guys so much. I'm seeing one more question, so I can be able to address that quickly. So I'm seeing Julius Ndugune was saying, Silver, since you're looking for selling opportunities, is it in a buy zone then for scalping? Remember, one thing you need to realize, time frames ends up changing, right? So overall, we are still within a seller's market here. The main seller is right there. So overall, the main objective for us to do is look for sell. You can clearly see, if you are looking for buys, look at how choppy this market is, even though and that's the reason why we avoid counter trades a lot. Because let's say, for example, you're thinking of a buy right here. Let's say even if you bought around here, The price is going up. It's going up. Next thing, you move your stop loss. Even if your stop loss is here, this market just comes, stops you out, and then continue. There's a lot of risk because you don't know when the big boy sellers are actually going to come in. So unless you're really a much smaller time frame to end up looking for good buying opportunities, you can, but then even look at the way the sellers bring in. For us, the main thing is, and always try and follow some sort of structure. If you're looking for a trade in one particular direction, that should be your focus. If you're going to end up looking for scalping, there is potential because now, let's say, for example, in the 1 minute, it possibly looks like it's trending to the upside. But on that 1 minute time frame, you're following this series of higher highs and higher lows. So if the price comes back in, yes, you can look for a buy, but this is the area that's going to give the issue. So you don't know whether or not it's just going to get there, then go down, right? Because the overall story is still to the downside. So you can be able to, but it adds a lot more risk, right? So just be careful about that, but it is possible. But just be careful. That's one thing I would really say, Julia. So not seeing any more questions, but thanks for the question, Julia. So we really appreciate that. At least it helps people learn as well from what is actually happening. So I guess that's it from me, from us. I want to thank you guys so much. Remember, the recording is on YouTube. So if you feel free to join us there. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video. It does end up helping us a lot, at least to get to a lot more people. I want to thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have an amazing trading day. God bless. Happy trading, guys. And bye for now. Cheers.